Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of 3 Wide here on YouTube. I'm your host, Radney Crawford. This week, we are going to be going over the news that was shared with Kaulig Racing announcing their 2023 plans. We're also going to touch on Haillie Deegan making her Xfinity Series debut, as well as going over the news that came out just today that William Byron's appeal had been heard, and we'll go over the results from that on this episode of 3 Wide. On Wednesday, Kaulig Racing held a press conference giving most of their 2023 plans as far as their driver lineup goes. On the Cup Series side, Justin Haley is coming back for his second season with the team, full-time Cup Series in the 31 car. And AJ Allmendinger is making the jump from the Xfinity Series full-time with Kaulig to now running their second full-time car in the Cup Series, the 16 car. This will be AJ's first full-time season in the Cup Series since 2018. And I feel like this Cup Series run will be much better than his original run when he was with JTG Daughtry Racing, as well as stops with Petty and Red Bull as well. AJ just seems to be in a happier place with this team. There were times in his previous Cup Series run where he just didn't seem to really be enjoying himself, didn't really seem happy. But it's ever since he's joined Kaulig Racing on the Xfinity Series side, he seems to truly love his job and love what he's doing at that team, which is great to see. Because AJ, he is a fun personality, a great guy to pull for, and I expect that fun to transfer over to the Cup Series. He's going to be an immediate guy to watch for in the playoffs with as many road courses as we go to. I mean, he's one of the best guys out there in all three series as far as the road course racing goes. But also, he has taken huge strides in his oval racing capabilities. He's won quite a few in the Xfinity Series. The biggest one that I can remember off the top of my head is in Atlanta in 2020. So I expect big things with AJ in the Cup Series now with Kaulig Racing. And this will be, I think, a huge boost to the development of both Kaulig Racing as well as Justin Haley in the Cup Series. Justin and AJ, they're very close as far as their relationship. Almost best of friends, it seems like they joke around. Justin jokes about AJ being his dad, and AJ jokes about Justin being a son. This could be huge for Justin's development into having a solid career. And for Kaulig Racing, they're getting a strong veteran driver in their Cup car who'll be able to give them excellent feedback and let them know where they stand as far as a competition standpoint. So all around a win for all three individuals, both Kaulig Racing, AJ, and Justin Haley. Also announced was their Xfinity Series plans. They announced Landon Castle will be back in the 10 car next year for their Xfinity team, as well as Chandler Smith making the jump from Toyota and Kyle Busch Motorsports to the Xfinity Series, driving their 16 car, replacing AJ Allmendinger. And also Daniel Hemrick, they are looking to have him back next season. They're working on sponsorship so that he'll be back in that 11 car next season. And for Chandler Smith, this is a huge move for his career, going to a team of the caliber of Kaulig Racing. And I expect big things from him in the Xfinity Series next season. However, I would look for him to have kind of like a Sheldon Creed season, like Sheldon's had this year in his rookie year. It'll take him a little bit of time to adapt, but as you've seen, once Sheldon got his feet up under him, he put on a heck of a run towards the playoffs there towards the end of the regular season. So Chandler, I expect to have a great season next year. He's got a lot of talent, great guy to pull for, seems like a nice guy. And this is a big win for him. But on the flip side of that, it's also a big loss for Toyota. In 2022 alone, Toyota has already lost Brandon Jones, Chandler Smith now, Kyle Busch, as well as Kyle Busch Motorsports. So that's three strong drivers and your best truck team all swapping to Chevy. And over the years, especially recently, Toyota has lost quite a bit of talent with drivers like Eric Jones, Todd Gilliland, Harrison Burton, even Noah Gragson. All these drivers are no longer under that Toyota banner. So does this lead to a revamp in how Toyota goes about business as far as from a team standpoint? They've obviously still got a lot of talent in the pipeline, but with Kyle Busch Motorsports now out of the picture for the Truck Series, which is where you were getting a lot of drivers fed through to make their way up through the rankings, now you still have Hattori Racing, Hallmark Racing, and ThorSport all under the Toyota banner in the Truck Series. But does Toyota start putting more money towards those teams like Hallmark Racing, where right now it's just a one-truck team with Stuart Friesen? Do you help that become a multi-truck team? Maybe put a guy like Lane Riggs, who did a race for him earlier this year, get him a spot in the Toyota pipeline. Or another driver that may be in the ARCA series that you're looking to move up. And Hattori Racing, even though they are a solid truck team, they aren't quite to the level that they were back in the 2018 to 2020 range, when they had drivers like Brett Moffitt and Austin Hill taking them to victory lane and putting them in for championships. And then meanwhile, you do have Thor Sport Racing, where they still got Matt Crafton, solid veteran, probably one of the best truck drivers in the history of that series. But you also have some good young talent in there with Ben Rose, Ty Majeski, and Christian Eckes. And even you got Ty Majeski competing, already locked in for a championship shot at Phoenix. Ben Rhodes is still in the thick of it. And the question then is, DGR, David Gilliland's truck team, is now making the swap from Ford to Toyota. Does that become the new hot spot for where you're going to feed this pipeline, this huge amount of talent coming through the rankings? Is this where Corey Heim and Buddy Kofoid, drivers like that, go to get their start in their NASCAR journey? Time will tell, but I would be interested to see if we see kind of a change in how they're going about their business with these truck teams. And also, I mean, you look at in the other two series, the Xfinity and the Cup Series, there's not a whole lot of teams there either with top tier rides with Toyota. I mean, really, there's even less there than there is with the truck series. In the Xfinity series, you got Joe Gibbs Racing and Sam Hunt Racing. And Sam Hunt Racing is a relatively new team, but very strong. On the Cup side, as far as from a competitive standpoint, you have Joe Gibbs Racing and 2311 Racing. Do they, try to get some more teams from those series to swap from Ford or Chevy to their camp? Time will tell, but as much talent as there is that Toyota has, it just creates a clogging, and that's why I think they're losing all this talent and have lost over the years, like I mentioned earlier, with a guy like Eric Jones and Daniel Suarez. So Toyota's going to be an interesting team to watch. Maybe nothing big happens besides the David Gilliland news this season, but over the course of the next year, it'll be interesting to see if Toyota starts getting more teams to fill this talent pool in the Xfinity and the Cup Series. And meanwhile, Chevy, they're just absorbing all this talent from Toyota. They now have drivers like Austin Hill, who drove for Hattori. They have Chandler Smith, Brandon Jones. You also got Sheldon Creed in that pool as well. So Chevy is really looking pretty solid for the future of this sport. And Toyota, they still are solid with their talent pool. As I said, you still got Corey Heim, Buddy Kofoid, Sammy Smith. On the Chevy side, they got another young driver, Rajah Caruth, who's going to be fun to watch his career path in the next couple of years. So those two manufacturers probably have, I think, the most talent, the deepest talent pool of all the sport. Ford, they're solid. They have Zane Smith as probably their top prospect right now. They also have Haillie Deegan, who's getting ready to make her Xfinity debut, which we'll talk about here in just a minute. But it's not quite as deep or as good overall as the Chevy and the Toyota camp. So it'll be interesting to see how all three manufacturers progress over the next few years. And as I just mentioned, Haillie Deegan, she will be making her Xfinity Series debut at Las Vegas in the 07 car, the same car that Cole Custer took to victory lane earlier this season. And I'm excited to see Haillie get out of the Truck Series, see what she can do in a stock car in the Xfinity Series. I feel like this will be a stronger suit for her than the Truck Series, whereas in the Truck Series, as far as from a competitive standpoint, once you get out of the top 10, top 15 range of the field, if you're stuck back there in the back, you're not around a whole lot of solid talent. You're around a lot of guys that overdrive, try to overcompensate for the equipment they have, or quite frankly, maybe not have a clue as to what's going on around them, and you get caught up in a lot of incidents that really weren't of your own making. So in the Xfinity Series, especially in this 07 car that had the affiliation with Stewart-Haas, this will be a chance for her to really show the talent she has. And I think she does have quite a bit of talent. And could this lead to possibly bigger things for her next season with possibly an Xfinity Series ride? I certainly hope so, just because I don't know what's going to happen with David Gilliland Racing. She's technically under the Ford contract, the Ford development contract, They're moving to Toyota, so it kind of is leaving her in limbo as far as what to do. And this may be her best shot to go ahead and make the jump if she has a good solid race or two, however many starts she gets before the end of the season. And hopefully next season she'll be running for Rookie of the Year in the Xfinity Series, and we'll just continue to see her career progress. Now, before we wrap this up, NASCAR announced today they had the appeal hearing for William Byron after the incident with Denny Hamlin at Texas, where William Byron, he was fined $75,000, docked 25 points, which put him from above the cut line to now below the cut line. Well, at the appeals hearing today, the appeals board, NASCAR appeals board, they changed the penalty to a $100,000 fine and no points penalty. So here we are 3 days before a cutoff race in the Cup Series playoff, and William Byron has effectively changed the narrative of this race. And the appeals board, with their decision, has changed the narrative. So now you have William Byron up above the cut line. Now Chase Briscoe and Austin Cindric went from being tied for that final spot to going to have to overcome quite a bit to get back into the playoffs, back above the cut line. I don't understand why the appeals board made this decision. To me, it kind of, as it was mentioned on the podcast Door Bumper Clear earlier this week, this opens a huge can of worms. So you had Denny Hamlin get spun out by William Byron on the front straightaway at Texas under caution, and you would think there'd be all these eyes from NASCAR officials on him, but apparently NASCAR, they said in their statement, they just simply did not see it. They were trying to see what was going on with the caution. Now he's went from the 25-point penalty, which I felt like was a fair penalty. It sent a message that, hey, we're not going to tolerate all this messing around under caution. Now you open a can of worms where, say we go into Phoenix, you've set this precedent where, you know, all I'm going to get is a $100,000 fine. So say I'm Chase Elliott and I'm riding behind Ryan Blaney. It's between me and him for the championship. So I can just spin him out under caution. You know, I can say I meant to bump him but not dump him, and all I'll get is a $100,000 fine and I'm the champion. I would take that deal every day, every race. It's a dangerous precedent, as I said, and you're setting yourself up to possibly be in a bigger mess in one of the biggest races of the season, the race that decides who your champion is. Take away even more credibility from this playoff, and then you'll hear all offseason how, well, so-and-so shouldn't be the champion because this happened, because this guy who was going to win it got spun out under caution for whatever reason. I mean, if William Byron's going into the Phoenix race and he's in the Final Four, Denny Hamlin decides to pay him back, are you going to part Denny Hamlin? Are you going to take points away from him? To me, that would seem to be a little bit unfair, because you didn't do it to Byron and he did it to me. So there's no consistency there. It wasn't the Steve O'Donnells, the Jim Francis, or anyone like that made this decision. It was their appeal board. I forget who the members are on that, but they are the ones that decided to kind of lighten this penalty from what it was. So again, I don't agree with it. I think you really take away what was going to be the main story of this Roval race Sunday, which was was William Byron going to be able to jump over two drivers to get in the playoffs? Who, wins between the battle between Austin Cindric and Chase Briscoe, both good road course racers. Now, these two teams, Briscoe and Cindric's, they're having to completely change their strategy in less than 3 days from when the race is. So not an ideal situation going into this race. It's going to be interesting to watch and see how it all plays out. Stage points, as always, as it gets to this time of year, are going to be crucial. They get more and more crucial week in and week out. And who's going to come ahead? Can Chase Briscoe or Cindric overcome it and get themselves in the playoffs and knock William Byron back out? Time will tell. It's going to be a fun weekend of races at the Roval. I enjoy the Roval races. I know a lot of people are wanting the mile and a half to come back with this new next-gen car. But to me, the Roval just creates so much more excitement in the races. It'd be hard for me to justify taking it off the schedule. So feel free to comment in the comment section below. Give me your opinion. Give me your take. Who do you think is in a better spot for the future of NASCAR between Team Chevy, Team Toyota, or maybe you think Team Ford is in a better spot? Feel free to give me your opinions. I hope everyone has a wonderful rest of their week, and we will meet back same time next week on our weekly podcast on Mondays to go over all that went down at the Roval and see who got eliminated and who moves on to the next round of the playoffs.